Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. I'm Manny Romero. What the fuck? He threw me off.
Keep going, dude.
All right.
Keep going. This is a good intro.
All right. We empower your
Your growth. Keep going.
No.
No, we're not stopping.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We are your guide to personal recovery. Whether you're dealing with an addiction, a mental health issue, or you're just trying to figure life out, we empower your growth through candid conversations and demystifying the process of therapy. I'm Manny Romero. Jesse O.
This week, we discuss things that we shouldn't discuss, particularly this time of year. We're going to talk and not talk about politics and religion and how it impacts our mental health.
Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, share it with someone if you find some value. Here we go.
And the weather outside is weather. So, hey man,
The weather outside is weather. What's up with that?
it's a song. It's a Christmas.
Is that what it says?
No, it's not.
Oh.
I'm stealing it. I still all great ideas. It's from a movie. So
Oh.
Paul Rudd starts singing that song. The weather outside is frightful, but he doesn't know the song. It's in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which we've talked about a lot on this podcast, which means we are big fans of that movie. Or that's a movie that you at least didn't fall asleep during, and you could remember parts of it. So, but there's a part where he's just singing, "The weather outside is weather," and I just always think that's quite entertaining.
Gotcha.
And 'tis the season to either sing that song or one of Manny's personal favorites, "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey.
Ooh, yes.
Is that a big hit in the house?
Yeah, we Christmas jingle it all the way.
You don't what?
We Christmas jingle it, we got all the jingles, bro.
Jingle me something right now.
We got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay.
I don't know if my voice is good or not.
It's good. It's really that deep bass,
No treble.
Yeah, no treble. So, but yeah, Mariah Carey, that song, that gets a lot of people. They have a lot of opinions about that song.
Really?
Yeah, the one, you know what song I'm talking about?
I think it's so political now.
Yeah, right there, right? You got to take a stand. You're either on the left or right when it comes to Mariah and how much you like that song, right? But the song is...
What do people not like about it?
I just want to sing a part of it. I don't want a lot for Christmas. See, some people might have just turned it off right now. They're like, I can't do it again. This is the 1,000th time I've heard it, and now it's completely out of
but this
key.
This is like Gonzo Fiction style right now.
Ooh, that's right.
Go ahead.
Look them up on Spotify. I'm not going to sing any Gonzo tracks right now. Oh, can we even sing songs? Because,
Copyright?
copyright.
Who knows?
Damn.
We're about to find out.
We're going to get sued, but we're going to get famous at least for being broke.
Can't get sued if you got no money.
But this week, before we start the clock, or as we're about to start the clock, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Yes.
Whatever you celebrate. To come this time of year, though, it can be very challenging for people when it comes to staying sober, and the holidays really impact our mental health. We've talked about seasonal affective disorder on the podcast. Manny and I were discussing things that what should we talk about on the podcast or what we shouldn't talk about on the podcast. And I think that one thing we've most definitely going to steer clear of would be politics and religion, right?
Yep.
Which brings up our topic this week as we start the clock. Why are politics and religion off the table? And how does it impact our mental health? Why does it so significantly?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just they're hard conversations to have, dude. We're talking about beliefs and
Our beliefs.
Yeah.
Our values.
Our values.
Does it mean our values as well?
Totally, yeah.
Our religious views are our values.
And they're very personal to us.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, and if I share my beliefs with you and my values with you and you reject them or, you don't believe in them, how you communicate that, it takes a very skillful individual or set of individuals to have conversations about different beliefs and values without disrespecting each other. And so I think that's a hard thing for people to acquire.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know how me and you are getting along. We completely differ.
So
when
our video is in, you could see it. It's not blurry, right?
Yeah.
It's in focus.
Yeah.
Look at Manny and I. We are different, right?
Mhm.
You are brown.
That's so racist.
Is it?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Go
please
ahead.
don't do that. You are brown.
Yeah, I am brown.
I am white.
Yeah. I'm Mexican American.
I am Mexican American as well.
You are
Oh, no, I'm not. I am just...
part Irish, I think, no?
You just assume that I'm Irish because I'm white?
No, you've told me that.
No. I said I was black Irish.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure.
That means I love all cultures. But like, no, but like, so if you look at the both of us, what? You're a therapist.
I'm a therapist.
I'm a counselor.
Mhm.
There are some differences right there.
Yep.
But who would have thought two people on two sides of the political stand, right? Which we're not going to get into a debate
And kind of like the religious stance too, right? Like,
well, here, I could touch on that. You're a... What, religious-wise?
I'm a therapist.
No. And I'm Mr. Counselor? No, I'm not even that, right? No.
I'm religious-wise, I'm
you-
Christian.
You're Christian, right?
Catholic Christian, yeah.
Right. What am I?
I thought you didn't believe, bro. I thought you were a non-believer.
Listen, bro. I believe in Santa,
Yeah?
and I believe in a lot of
You
things.
believe in peace.
Believe in the world. I would say I'm probably
You don't believe in kids. One time
That was my old line, right? Whenever I
before
was
you
like,
had kids.
yeah, people would be like, I have kids. I was like, I don't believe in those. And now I'm a full-on, like, faith-believing in the children, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I would say I'm more agnostic. I used to be like, I'm an atheist.
What's agnostic and atheist? What's the difference between agnostic and atheist?
Atheist is like you don't believe in nothing.
Okay.
Nothing out there is going on.
That'd be hard to do, though, right?
Well, I used to do that. I used to be like, I'm an atheist. And it's funny now when I talk to somebody who's like, I'm an atheist. I was like, there's still people out there that are that. But I'm more agnostic in the sense. And for me, when I say agnostic is like I don't have a firm belief in one thing, but I'm open to it. That's my actually definition of an agnostic is somebody who's like doesn't know yet, but I'm also like very open-minded to like there's something much more bigger than me out in this world.
Gotcha.
What that is specifically, I don't know. So,
Yeah.
but I probably at one point in time, if we wanted to talk religion, I most definitely would have been that guy was a bit angry and resentful because of some initial stuff growing up that was based on religion that like upset me and upset my family. So, and I'd also just like to push people's buttons. I would be
Yeah.
the first guy to be like, "Hey, so what happened to the dinosaurs?" You know, like that. Be like, "You asshole!" Like you're just like, I just would be that guy. Like,
Yeah.
So, but I guess at one point in time, that would most definitely be something to rile me up and get me fired up. But based on like our different political beliefs, I'll say this was probably one of the first times where I met somebody had a different political belief. And when I see you, I don't really think about your politics too much.
Yeah.
And I don't say like that's what first thing I see with somebody and their political beliefs, but like I know there's been moments where somebody has been like, I'll find out that their political beliefs is something opposite of mine, and I'll have like kind of a gut reaction of like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't think you were like that.
Do you kind of write them off, or do you
I like go, oh, all right, okay, you're like that, so I guess we can't go to the fucking Chili's anymore, right? No, but like I get a little. It's
You do this though, like, because even you said with like actors and people that like you kind of like look up to, like if you find out something dirty about them or like you're like you write them off. Right?
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, you're not on my team.
Dave Bautista, hopefully you stay clean, my man. Stay clean.
But yeah, so like no, so I would say like I know there were some things even like there were some things that you were like promoting which I wouldn't promote based on my side, and I remember I had like. I'm like, what the fuck is Manny saying right now? I was like, I know it's this hardcore, but I was like, what is he trying to do right now? I was like, he's trying to fuck with me a little bit.
You thought it was funny that
No,
you...
no. But this is what sometimes I do. Like I personalize it. Like I'm like, okay, this is like not what I like or believe or see eye to eye with. So yeah, to me, I looked at it as almost like, okay, we have opposing views on this, right? How much will I let it impact my relationship with him? And honestly, it was kind of like a moment. I was like, what the hell is this? And then it was kind of like it was gone. It was over.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never had a real political discussion. You share some stuff that you like, and I might share a couple things that I believe in.
I feel like whenever I share any political stuff with you, you kind of like appease me. You're like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then like,
Well, how would you want me to debate with you?
No, not at all. But I
But I think I value.
That's the skill set I'm talking about, though,
Yeah.
right? Of like, just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean, one, that you have to correct them and be like, no, it's my point of view, like you're wrong. And yeah, it doesn't mean you have to make them feel bad about like what they believe in, right? Like, gosh, like just the fact that you can even just like affirm what I believe and say, okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying, without saying like, oh, I believe you or you're so right. Like, I think that's a skill set. That's good. Like, that's probably why we can stay friends, you know.
Yeah. No, because people do have heavy opinions. I think, just like I said, when I meet somebody and I'm just kind of like, oh, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's that I think what I've tried to work on is this is like, and then maybe it's because I've worked in the field. It's like you got to take people for who they are in this moment. Like, I recently had an interaction with a client who I believe had some. He was. This is a shift a little bit, but we'll come back to like our initial topic. But like, I think there were some domestic violence issues.
Yeah.
And I was initially pretty uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
I started to see like, oh, I see the manipulation here, and like I'm kind of like guarding myself and protecting myself. But I was almost avoiding like having any type of clinical interaction with him. I didn't want to run a group with him. Like I was like, how can I avoid like, because I want to have really sincere, honest like conversations with people. So I found myself going, listen, this guy, this is from one person's, this is what I've heard from another perspective. This person, my perspective with him is he's always been pretty kind to me and respectful. So I really had to just like kind of hone in on like the moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too, is like whenever I hear people, and it maybe just comes with maturity, but like if I hear religious beliefs or political beliefs, unless maybe it's a very extremist, I might be like a little discomfort there, but I've got to go, okay, like they're not throwing this in my face right now. You've never come in and be like, this is all truth,
Yeah.
Then I might be like, hey bro, we got to talk a little bit more. Maybe I just would separate myself or
Right.
set a boundary. But I think it's a skill set that I've developed working in the field as a counselor clinically, and I've now just kind of like I can use this in my personal life.
Yeah, same to me. Like, I think I hear so many different opinions, so many perspectives, so many worldviews that I've been able to really settle like with myself. Like, how can I be here for somebody without necessarily believing their worldview or without necessarily like taking that on, right? Like, and that takes like the ability to understand, to have like the compassion for someone and understand like where you kind of end, right, and they start. And so it's like, okay, like, yeah, like this person is still a person, they're still a human being, and I can still connect with them on a level. I have friends who like they share different opinions, and they have different perspectives, different beliefs, and sometimes it comes out, and it's very like. And so for me, that's how I take it too. I kind of like in my internal process is like, I don't believe that. I can kind of see why you think that way, or why, but then at the end of the day, like I have to check myself, and like I can't be angry at this person for what they believe. Like I can't take it out on them. And if, and I have a decision to make, like, do I want to stay connected with this individual or do I not? And
Right.
so far it's, like, we don't have to talk about this. Our relationship can be based on something else.
So why do you think during the holidays, why is that such it can be in a lot of family dynamics, like the real like dissension and cause of the dysfunction is like the topic of religion and politics that could really segregate families.
Yeah.
I guess maybe not why. I know why, we just discussed
Yeah.
it, but like how do we approach that? And this is us potentially like giving somebody some therapeutic feedback or clinical feedback, whatever you want to call it. Like, how do you walk into the holidays this time of year with, maybe already dealing with anxiety and stress and depression, seasonal affective disorder, but like, how do we face our families when they might have different religious beliefs or political beliefs? Like, should we talk about it? Are you able to talk about it, or do we just avoid it altogether? What do you think?
I have a strong belief in just like the power in our ability to choose how we respond to people. And
Say that one more time.
The power in our ability to respond, to be able to respond to people. Like what I mean by that is like we are always in control of how we respond to someone else, right? And we can control that no matter what. So I think that's a big emphasis for me, is like, how do you want to respond to this individual, whether that's setting a boundary with them, whether that's appeasing them, learning to talk to them, not attacking them, or having a conversation and being direct and saying, hey, you know what, like, let's not have this conversation. But how can you sort of focus on your responses, respond in a healthy way, so that you're not like, attacking someone or calling them names or engaging in some sort of like fight or argument with them, right? That's unproductive, unhealthy. Right. I think that's the foundation of that right there.
I'm not going to let you decide how I feel. I think that's something to remember. People will influence you, family will influence you, but it's very important I believe, to set boundaries with anybody that's in front of you there if you need to, and if certain things are a real trigger for you for whatever it is, anger or discomfort, and these two topics, religion and politics, if you don't want to bring them to the table, I think just having an open conversation and saying, like, it makes me feel uncomfortable that when you talk about that, and hopefully the person is willing to like take that in, and maybe they don't have the as healthy communication as you're presenting there, but that's just like any disagreement you have with anybody. I think there's times that I've encountered people where I'm like, this person right now is too heated. I need to take a step back. I've got to try to be the bigger person. I can control what I'm doing right now in this moment in time. I can't control how they're feeling, and how they're fired up about their belief on this or that. So just learning to take a step back. So,
and that's your ability not only to recognize what you can control with your response, but your ability to manage any discomfort, any uncomfortable emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, irritation. Like, just because you experience it doesn't mean you have to say something or you have to act on it. Like, you can sit with it, you can feel it, you can wait for it to dissipate, and then can kind of move on, right?
Yeah. So
I see this happen a lot actually, like in social media. Like, I think like you said, right, there was a while where I was posting certain things that were triggering you. And one of the cool things that, like, I didn't know that, by the way, before this conversation, but what's cool about you is that you could see that, you could process that, and you could move on from it. There are people who will comment on it, or who will, like, you don't have to say something, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of posts I see, things I see online that I disagree with, and it kind of makes me irk, but I'm not, like, my answer is to just scroll away, not to respond or to, like, I'm going to pick a fight with this individual,
As we've learned being on social media now, you and I, we've learned this, and having a podcast on a public platform there, is that you're open for criticism, and some people just want to poke the bear. People are just, unfortunately, I don't know the mentality, or I do, because I don't live and breathe it, but like the idea, the concept of a troll, I don't want to even say that. I guess that's maybe an outdated like concept or word, but people go online just to like, they get their kicks off like pushing buttons, and it just, you got to try to find a way not to feed into that.
For your mental health.
Yeah, exactly.
For
and that's
your mental
the
health.
key of this is for your mental health, because it's a trigger. It's a trigger it's setting something off inside of you that bothers you. And when we're triggered, just like if you're somebody who, like, during the holidays is triggered to want to drink, like, you see something, you're going to want to react. And then create somewhat of a craving. And that's almost like in a response to, like, on an internet chat. Like, if somebody is like triggering you and then you're craving, like, this desire to do this, we've got to find like coping skills to not react. Because where does it really take us? At the end of the day, why does it really fucking matter? In 5 days, that post that you made, that was like a way to like counter somebody else's like response, like, what was your intention? What was your belief behind that? Like, and why was it really worth the energy? Maybe sometimes there could be sometimes when I'm not saying people shouldn't fight with what they believe for, but when you're doing the keyboard warrior thing, I think it's just kind of like, I want to say it's sometimes often a lost cause.
Yeah. I think like when you're posting something online, whether it's your beliefs, your values, whatever it is, like, be mindful of what you're putting out there, and like be ready for any lashback, right? And that's okay. Like, you have the freedom to do that, but you have to just understand that you could take a little bit of a hit emotionally or mentally if you're not ready to, like, take the heat that you're gonna get for doing something like that, and vice versa. Like, you don't like, if someone else is posting something, you don't have to comment. You don't have to say something about that post,
right?
So those are important things.
So I wanted to like also talk about, since we're talking about like social media, and because this does tie into like politics and religion too, I guess, is right now like, would you say it's the conflict in Israel, right?
Yeah.
Like, or I want to talk about the terrorist attacks there. That's flooding our social media and articles, and you're going to see a lot of different things, and that's another thing that can be very triggering for people's mental health. I remember seeing an article, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want my wife to read this because it's talking about like what's going on with kids, and I even kind of gave her a heads up. I was like, maybe try to avoid some of that, because I think it can be triggering just for sadness or depression or anger.
Yeah.
But
what did it do for you when you saw it?
It was disturbing. It was disturbing for me. But I don't know. I was able
Did you get like upset or sad?
I was able to put it away. I was able to put it away. I think I mentioned to you that like it kind of reaffirmed this thing. Maybe I didn't really believe at one point in time, and I think something we talked about on the podcast. Like, I believe there are bad people out there, and that the people being bad, that's once again developed from birth, and that's a conversation that I don't want to go into right now, but it's reaffirmed that like I need to be more aware of like people are out there and they're trying to hurt other people, and I don't know their background or why they believe that, but that's maybe their belief, right? But it made me feel discomfort, but I also became like I compartmentalized a little bit emotionally, and I detached myself, and I don't try to think about it, because it's like, what can I really do? I mean, there are things you can do, but I think I'm kind of limited on what has already happened, I guess. So, but I wanted to talk about also the idea of how do we, like, mental health wise this time of year, that stuff, like, how can we protect yourself?
Yeah, I think from this really impacting you mentally.
Yeah, just this particular like current world
the news.
The world, and the news, and this ties into politics, because people are going to have opinions, right? Once again, religious opinions and political opinions, and because this is such a prominent thing right now in the world, like, people have very strong beliefs again, right? And this could once again cause more separation in our society, making people feel more alone, not heard. So, like, you know, how do you this idea of what's going on right now? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, I think clinically, like my clinical answer to that is like really understanding yourself, like individually. How is this affecting you? Is it affecting you? Some people it is, some people it's not. And whether it's like fear of like what's to come, right? Maybe fear of like going to war, or maybe it's anger because of a political opinion, or you know what you're seeing online. I think wherever you're at, like learning how to manage those emotions for yourself, like learning what you need. Sometimes, I mean, politics are important, right? For people need to be in the know of like what's happening, right. But it's also important to disconnect sometimes, to like not look at that stuff, to give yourself a break. Yeah,
it's funny you say that, because sometimes I feel like when people say, "Do you know what's going on in the news right now?" and sometimes I'm like, "No." Yeah. Initially, because my own like negative self-talk, I'm like, "Oh gosh, am I not educated, or am I not smart enough? Am I not paying attention?" Yeah. But I don't think that's a bad thing to be like, I'm not trying to pay attention, because I will say this is also a thing that I know is a problem. It's impacting a lot of people's mental health, is like the clickbait society of just like we will see a quote and we don't read the whole article. Yeah, I think it's important to read the whole article. Yeah. There's almost like a gaslighting sometimes with media, as we've talked about. Gaslighting is like kind of a manipulation to like believe, like the feeling of you feel crazy when the other persons are the crazy ones. Just because something is in the media doesn't mean it's always truth. Yeah. It's a story, and unfortunately, I feel like a lot of times it's not as factual. We take everything on the internet almost as truth, and I try to stay very aware of just like, I got to read the whole thing. Sure. I want to see as many perspectives as I can, and I would really, especially this time of year with just the holidays being stressful as it is, so like try to take things for what they are. Maybe try to hear every certain angle inside that you can, because that's going to put more pressure, more stress, more anxiety. News
and media is an industry, right? It's an industry that like they're selling
Yes,
something
they're
to you.
selling something to you, and you can buy it or not buy it.
Yeah, and usually their best marketing tool is fear, right? Because it sparks interest, right? Like the good feel good happy stories don't sell, right? And so just recognizing that, I think, can even help you understand that, like, the reaction I'm having is really a targeted reaction that media is trying to create for me to want to consume this content. So being mindful of that too, and absolutely, if there's anybody, like, there's other things right now in this moment. If you were to like be mindful of your current moment right now, there's other things that could be helping you manage the symptoms of anxiety and fear. Maybe it's going outside, going for a walk, taking a fresh breath of air. Maybe it's playing with your daughter who's like been in front of you coloring and you haven't noticed because you're looking at the TV. Like maybe it's like it's your wife who, like, you haven't hugged in the last couple days, and you can give her like a 15-second hug. There's all these other things that are in front of you that can help manage some of these emotions or some of this fear or some of the whatever way that this is presenting in front of you. And I'm not saying like, blow off what's happening in the world and like, ignore it or be passive around it. But you can't be consumed all the time by it. And the worry and the anxiety and the fear is not helping, especially if it's not helping.
Yeah, I think just to wrap it up here, because we're out of time, but like, politics and religion, I think often it's still going to be a real, like it'll push people's buttons.
Yeah.
It's just something that if you need to avoid, please avoid it.
Yeah.
And just you get to a point where you can find some healthy communication with it. Maybe practice it then, or maybe like what you and I do, like, maybe one day we will have like more of a political conversation. I believe actually I feel pretty safe with having a political conversation with you, and I feel more safe having more religious conversations with people, because I know I'm in a better place with like that perspective. So and a lot of times I really need to see the perspective and kind of understand, because if you hear one side, they've basically, often they have a very strong opinion of like why the other side's doing something wrong. So if
you could learn to have a political conversation with somebody that doesn't share your beliefs, and it can be a very safe, productive, like, you can learn learning that skill will help you in so many other areas of your life.
Yeah.
It'll help you with your relationships. It'll help you with like things at work, managing stress, managing overwhelm, managing your kids. Like, so it's a really important skill set. If anybody can get anything out of this show, I think it's like, shit, look at us, dude. Like, two people, different ends of the spectrum on like politics, religion, two of the things that are dreaded to be talked about. And we're working together. And we're friends, and so it's possible.
My man.
My dude.
All right.